Right, hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. Today you join me in search of pike, and it's a right trip down memory lane for me today. I'm on a venue that I haven't fished for probably 6-7 years, back to when I did the written blog. On the venue back then I was fishing for tench and for skimmers and roach on the pole, and I had some lovely sessions on it. It's one of them venues that is really secluded, and it's almost like each peg you've got your own bit of the water where you can't see any other anglers, and it's a lovely place to wet a line, as you've probably seen from the opening shots from this blog. Today though, we're in search of pike, and back when I used to fish it for silvers, there was pike in here, but they were only small, and from what I've seen around, that's generally what the case is still now. A lot of jack pike. So we're not fishing for big pike today, just a case of seeing that float go and sitting back and relaxing. So what we'll do first is we'll have a look at where we put the baits for the session ahead. Right, so the two rods are out. I've got a float ledgered herring section on that rod and a smelt on the other rod, both on the float ledger setup. We've got our visitor back to the peg, and what I'm hoping to do is this water here, if I scroll out, is deep. It's like a deep channel. I always remember it being a deep channel through there, is to pick up any patrolling pike coming through that channel. We've got a couple of features in the edge there that we could try later on, but for now I'm just going to leave them two rods and hope that a pike comes into the area. You can see there the baits are in position, and venues like this are fantastic places for using up baits that you don't use. Now on the river and the canal, generally you want a 6 inch bait, you know, so your hooks are halfway down it, but in packs of bait you do get big ones and the smaller baits. What I do is I save them baits up for places like this. There are a number of places that I know that hold a few jack pike, and I just visit them to use up my baits. So today we'll be using up baits that are probably too small for the rivers and the canals that we fish normally. Lovely morning it's been, seeing the kingfisher and the robin about, and a pike on the bank just, you know, makes it worthwhile. And some venues the size of the pike is irrelevant. It's just good to be on the bank and enjoy the outside, and this is a lovely place to wet a line. A nice little pike, and we'll get him straight back. Right, so rig for the session, and I do get a few questions on piking from people who are new, who ask what is my go-to rig. This is a new venue for me to pike fish today, so I always keep things simple, and today I'll be float fishing because it allows me to get an idea of the depth that is out there quite quickly. With a ledger it can be very hard to find the changes in depth. With a float you can work out a swim quite quickly. So the rig, I've got £60 piker Esox braid, got 2 beads on the line and a float stop up the line, a Mark Houghton deadbait pencil, down to an 18 gram Fox stubby sinker, And then I've got an 18-inch wire trace down to, on one rod I've got a smelt, and on another I've got a hebbing. Them two are my go-to baits whenever I start on any venue. You'll struggle to find a better bait than a smelt. It is a bait that seems to catch wherever you take it, rivers, lakes, canals, anywhere. And obviously a hebbing, if there is a better fish out there, you might have a chance of picking it up on that. But that little tiny one took a liking for it just then, so that remains to be seen if that theory is played out. But that is my simple setup for the session today. Right, so bait for the second rod is a section of hebbing, and normally that's the bait, but cut its head off about halfway down, and you've got a nice bait there. If you're fishing for, you know, smaller pike like jacks, you want the attraction of a bait, but also the hooking qualities of it as well. If you add that on the end, you see, you know, some of the pike on the videos when the smaller pike easily grab the head section. With that, chances are they're going to have some type of hook in their mouth. So that's the second bait for the second rod. Okay, so just got second pike of the day. Again, only a little small one, this time on the smelt. The narf, streamer. And then he comes. Right, so a little bit on unhooking the pike. So get the pike out of the net, get your net out of the way. And as always, you're trying to find out where the hooks are on which side. A lovely pike, got some lovely markings, this one. So pike between your legs, pull the mouth back towards you, and as you can see there, one of them's on the gill plate at the bottom, so really gentle. And that is the fine lines of piking. Sometimes they're really well hooked and they come off, other times barely hooked and they stay on. A quick check down its mouth to make sure there's no tackle, and as you can see there, for anyone new, that's I'll look inside the pike's mouth. You've got the gills either side, which you've got to be careful of. You can see where my fingers are there, miles away from the teeth, and if you just pull them out towards you, you've got all that room there to work with. So let's get it in the edge to rest, and then we might weigh this one and have a look at it. And there's that pike, £6 1 ounce, and a lovely marked pike, especially on its belly there. It's got some lovely markings, and for a venue that's normally quite coloured, it might be this clear water's bringing them out. A lovely fight and a take. The float was gone, a really solid take and a hard fight. Second pike of the day and a lovely result. Let's get her back straight away. Time for this fish to go back. Lovely fish. And I must admit, having spent the morning on this venue, it's lost none of its magic. It's just got that lovely feel to it. Some venues do that. Some venues just have that appeal that is just a magic about them. Is the only word I can describe it. Like if you just seen there, a kingfisher just shot through the screen on the far bank. The trees have got a little, you know, more overgrown, and this reed bed here wasn't as big when I used to fish it, but it's still got that appeal to it. A lovely place and a nice trip down memory lane. Different species, but great to be back on an old friend. And she's been nice to me this morning, like she was so many times back on the trips on the written blog. So I was just recording a piece for the blog and the rod absolutely screamed off, and this pike is barely hooked. Absolutely torn off with the bait, and we gently try and get him in. As I say, you can just see the one hook that's keeping it on, and then it goes. Pike number 3, let's have a look at him. Right, so got a pike in the net there and another run on the smelt. Lots of head shaking with this one, and I say there's a pike down there. Both rods wiped out, and I think this is pike number 4. Another small little jack. So it's 2 each on the smelt snakes. Right, so pike number 4, the little guy, took a smelt, while pike number 3 was resting in the net. And while I was netting him, I don't know whether the GoPro picked it up, but pike number 3 decided to swim out. It makes the blogging easier, at least. So pike number 4, and just shows how new venues you can work out feeding times. When you get runs like that, make a note of the time, because next time you come, you don't be too surprised if you get runs at the same time. All part of working a venue out. Now, pike number 4, let's get it back straight away. Time for this little guy to go back. Right, so sat on the bank just watching the GoPro footage back and having a cup of coffee, and he was a proper cheeky pike, wasn't he? As soon as that net went down, he out like a salmon. So yeah, you know, it happens, doesn't it? I'd be a bit more gutted if it was a 18-19 pound pike, like, but what was he, £4? We'll let him off. Cup of coffee, sit back, the rods are back out, time to just chill out and relax. And this guy has not left us alone all morning. Been back and two. I only wish I'd brought some of the maggots from a recent session with me. We could have fed him up a bit. Really tame, must be used to anglers coming. He comes right up to your feet, and he goes again. Right, so just sat back here now in the afternoon, just waiting for them floats to go. And more in my pike fishing, I'm enjoying just sitting back and having 2 floats out and waiting for them to come alive, regardless really of the size of fish. It's almost like it's second to the excitement of the run. Don't get me wrong, we all enjoy, come January and February, you know, chasing those better, nice girls in the piking and the fight that comes with a double figure pike. But certainly these sessions where you've got 2 floats out, just sitting back. I'm finding more and more in my piking these more rewarding, and it is just nice just to sit back, not worry about boats coming through or cyclists behind you or any of that type of stuff, and just waiting in these lovely surroundings for the float to go. Right, so last knockings, and Gary's got to run. You can see the float moving away there. Hopefully we can end the vlog on a pike. And there's that pike, probably the last action of the day. If there's any more pike after this one, obviously there'll be a bit more of the video. That's a nice pike, that, mate. Good day. Yeah. It's been mad, hasn't it, how there's been such a gap in the feeding periods. But lovely. There's not a mark on the pike. They are in lovely condition. If that's the last pike, holds it up for the camera one last time. On that one, we'll call it tight lines, and we'll catch you all next time. See you later.